I was an entitled brat. This post was made by a miraculous official who gave me permission to read the post in its entirety. Now, just a fair warning, this is going to be different than what you're used to. This post is pretty deep and pretty heavy, so if you're looking for a funny story, I suggest checking this one up here. Anyway, let's get into it. Quick note, the post was removed after I recorded it, so I don't have the screenshots. You're just gonna have to look at my face for this one. Hello, Reddit. I just wanted to share my life experience as an ex-entitled brat. When I was young, aged 2 to 6, my grandmother and uncle spoiled me relentlessly as I was the only granddaughter/niece. If I could have been held on a silk pillow and fed with a pure silver spoon, it would have happened. I had boxes overflowing with toys, books, fast food every day whenever and wherever I wanted. I didn't play outside a lot because of the sun. I wasn't able to go on fishing trips because she didn't want me getting hurt. I was the girl, so I did girly things. My parents lived in a small trailer in the middle of nowhere pretty much, and I would stay with my grandmother most of the time when school was in. I had 2 brothers. My older brother is mentally handicapped, we didn't know how severe at the time, and would get into trouble for even looking at me. We're 3 years apart. My uncle didn't like my brother very much and would often threaten to backhand him if he even laughed. My grandma didn't really mind my older brother as much, but she didn't exactly like him either, but would gladly take care of him and let us play together, but overall, him and I just didn't have a good relationship. My little brother was a different story, however. I found my mom was 7 months pregnant when I was in the hospital for 2.5 months due to a ruptured appendix and bowel obstruction at the age of 5. During those months, we found out that my grandma had terminal cancer and she wanted to spend the last few months of her life getting to know the new baby boy. She was able to survive up until about 4 months of his life, but during that time I was so angry because they'd stopped giving me what I wanted. They'd stopped taking me out to eat, they started giving my little brother all the attention, and because of that I started hating him too. An infant who didn't do anything wrong to deserve my hate. I wasn't allowed to see my grandma in her last few months of life because she wanted me to remember the good parts of her and our memories together. After my grandmother passed, I lived with my parents in their small trailer. They were addicted to meth, but always took care of us no matter what. The trailer, however, was falling apart above and beneath us and was infested with rats. We didn't have showers and we didn't have a running toilet. I was disgusted with my family and the conditions they forced me to live in, when the truth was that they couldn't get on their feet because of their drug abuse, poor financial planning skills, and being backed into a corner with no real jobs. My books and toys got put away into storage 50 miles away, and I only got to keep a small chest full, so I was bored. I wasn't allowed to live with my uncle because his apartment complex didn't allow children, so I was stuck in this dingy place. I wish now I could go back to that simple time and slap myself silly because it got worse from here and it's all my fault. A year later, my uncle committed suicide because he couldn't live without my grandmother. A few months later, social workers pulled me out of class during school for a child protective service screening. Basically, this is where they ask children questions about their home life and their living conditions, treatment, etc. I lied through the entire thing, telling them that my parents hit me all the time, and that my parents were abusive to one another. They 100% were in a toxic relationship that did include domestic abuse, and I was afraid for my life and that I wanted to live with my grandma and move away from my family. It didn't completely settle in that my grandma was dead because I never saw her, so I didn't believe it. I found out years later that Child Protective Service was called because of the trailer being unsanitary and my dad tested positive for meth in his system, which was the ultimate reason we were taken away. The abuse that my brother received from my uncle was also brought up when they questioned him about what was going on. My brother pinned all of the abuse on our dad and mom, unknowingly being unable to tell the difference between the three, even though our parents never laid an aggressive finger on us. They had a really nice 4-bedroom house back east they were signing the paperwork to buy, but they were immediately sent to rehab and lost everything, including my toys and books. While in foster care, I lived in 3 different homes. House 1. This family was considered middle class and hated me and my brothers to the point they didn't take care of us. I didn't want my older brother to live with me in this new place because I hated him so much, so I staged a plan where I broke toys on purpose and flooded the toilets so that way he'd be blamed and he got kicked out. Turns out he got sent to a group home facility where he was chained to a bed and left for hours on end. House 2. Very upper class family. Well off. I'm talking golfing every day, large, expensive vacations, massive house, private school rich. The foster mom didn't like me very much, but was in love with my younger brother. He was the cutest baby ever, to be honest. They took very good care of us. I had a closet full of expensive, coordinated outfits, private bathroom, etc. Basically, the life I had always wanted and dreamed of, but not with the people who I dreamed of with. I ended up getting us moved out of the house because I lost a hair bow and started stealing food and being sneaky. House 3. Small town Mexican family. They didn't have a lot, but they did have each other. These wonderful people taught me the importance of family and tradition. They loved my brother and I with all their hearts and wanted to take us to Mexico to meet their other family. They wanted to adopt both of us. It was the first time in 2 years that I had felt wanted and truly loved. I made friends where I lived and I was really happy. Then we were given back to our parents. For the next few years, we lived in and out of women's shelters until my mom finished her classes and the cases started closing. She got back with my dad after his classes and officially we were a family again. We moved into a small apartment. I resented both of them for taking me away from my happy life and would bring it up to hurt them, manipulate them, and get what I wanted. It worked sometimes and I was once again the baby girl who deserved everything for how they treated us. My brother had to deal with a lot of trauma and therapy from the group home, and my little brother thankfully had no memories of any of the foster system. I made sure that my parents weren't able to sleep together whatsoever because I thought sex was disgusting and I thought they were disgusting together and that they shouldn't be allowed to do anything with one another, period. I would cry all night until my mom came and slept with me and it became a permanent thing and the relationship suffered. We went on a road trip to visit my grandparents. I had the backseat all to myself while my brothers were squished together up in the front because I threw a massive temper tantrum. When we got to my grandparents, I tried to pull my bullshit and my grandfather said I was nothing but a spoiled brat. I was so hurt by that, and I still remember it to this day. I went into the room and I cried and cried and cried. How could poor little me be a spoiled brat? Something in my head clicked at that point, and I remember thinking that I wanted to be a better person. I was 10 at this point, but it was short-lived. We ended up moving into a nicer apartment after we got home from the trip. I whined because I didn't have my own bedroom, so they gave me a bedroom that I shared with my little brother and my mom. My dad got his own room and my older brother had to sleep in the living room on a futon. Over the years, I continued to get what I wanted when I wanted, but I noticed that my parents started not giving in as I got older. I'm 19, almost 20 now, and I regret everything that I've done. I've ruined my brother's lives, my parents' lives, and my own. As of now, I'm still living in my parents' house, unable to find work because I don't have good social and communication skills. I have 6 months to move because they're moving away to enjoy their senior years, and I have nowhere to go. My room is still cluttered with stuff because I'm trying to get rid of everything I don't need from all the years of getting what I wanted. I have diagnosed depression, I struggle in social circles, and I'm in college trying to stay afloat. On the bright side though, I'm in a happy, healthy relationship. My brothers are doing great. My parents have been clean and sober for 13 years, and they're still going strong with 0 relapses. At least something good came out of the hell that I caused them. Mom, Dad, big brother, little brother, I'm so sorry. This is deep stuff, man. This is deep stuff. I mean, if you want to take a look at this whole situation realistically, there's not really a single point of fault here. I mean, I feel like OP taking the blame on herself and working to fix it is a good thing, but we also have to acknowledge that this behavior was taught. Like, the only reason that she was such a spoiled brat is because the parents treated her like a spoiled brat. And I'm not saying that OP is correct here or OP is completely wrong here. It's a very complex situation. I feel like everything went wrong. But you know what? The past is the past, and I'm glad OP is able to realize her mistakes and work to a better future. I mean, sometimes I struggle with this myself as well, but when you stare at the past, you get stuck in the past. What's happened has already happened, and it's good that we can focus on the future. That's, advice for everyone else in this situation, because I'm sure that she's not the only one. In fact, I've been through the situation myself as well. Now, if you guys already follow the channel, you know my story. If you don't and you're curious about my life story, here's a documentary about me right here, my life. But just to recap, when I was younger, no matter what mistakes I made, no matter how small, even if I didn't do the mistake, if my parents thought that I made a mistake, they would beat me over the head with it. These are the parents who told me that they didn't want me, or that they wished I was dead, or that I would live as a failure for the rest of my life. So not exactly people who show me the most respect. And because I was beat up so much by my own parents as a kid, I learned that to deal with problems, you use violence. And I was extremely violent towards all my classmates. No matter what small thing they did, if I felt that violence was justified, I would hit them. As a result, growing up, I didn't have many friends because I was beating everyone up, and I went into depression because there was nobody for me to talk to at all. Thankfully, over the past few years and just living life my own way and actually finding someone to help me, I've been able to see life in a different way, and I realized my mistake in using violence so much. And though my situation may not be as bad as your situation, I don't think that that that's a comparison that we should make. Everyone is suffering in their own ways, and we should all acknowledge that. And I think the moral of the story here is that if we're not happy with our own lives like OP and myself were back a few years ago, we can make an effort to change it. We can absolutely turn our life around, because I am much happier now. I can do a lot of things now. I'm not as angry, I'm living a healthy life all by myself, and I too am 19 years old. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. The goal of my animated web series Levisleer, which I'm making on this channel, is to give people hope. Because I know for a fact that a lot of you guys out there are watching this video and there's something you're not happy about. No matter how big or how small, there's something that you wish you could change. And if you're out of hope, then I'm making Levisleer to give you hope. And if you want some extra motivation, I'm here to give you that extra motivation. What OP's story has just showed is that no matter how bad of a situation you are, if you approach the situation systematically and start working your problems out, you can turn your life around. And listen, I don't want this video to just be me reading someone's sad story and then giving my own sad story without offering anything else. I'll try to give you 2 things that you can try to do to help yourself. Number 1, if you're struggling through something right now, if you're unhappy with something and you want to change it, the first step in problem solving is identifying the problem. Now remember that I said that if you approach things systematically, you tend to get further. Now giving you the step 1 hopefully will propel you forward. And I'm not telling you just find the problem as in like 1 + 1 or something. No, I'm saying stop addressing symptoms, find the root. Because you might find that once you acknowledge what the problem is, solving it might not be as difficult as you think. And the second thing is, if you ever need someone to talk to, or if you want to know exactly how I went from where I was to where I am now, make a booking with me using the link in the description right now. Whether you're someone who's lost and don't know where to go, or maybe you're on a path but you're not sure you're going on the right path, or maybe you just want to get something off of your chest and you just want someone to talk to, book a meeting with me using the link in the description now. Now I just want to spend a few more minutes talking about bridges. There's a saying that goes, never burn your bridges. And I personally don't agree with this statement. There are many toxic people in the world, and I'm sure you know at least one person who is toxic. Cut that person out. It doesn't matter whether this person is a close friend or a family member or anything. If someone is toxic, they are toxic. You don't need toxicity in your life. The reason that the saying, never burn your bridges exists is because they see the bridge as an opportunity. However, it's only an opportunity if nobody ever crosses it. Toxicity isn't like that. When you build a bridge into toxicity, toxicity leaks in consistently. Don't bother with that bridge, because once the toxicity spreads to you, you have the chance of becoming toxic as well. And other people out there who are smart enough to burn the bridge on toxic people, you're gonna start losing bridges. Cut your ties with toxic people. No, you should not check up on that friend who bullied you 5 years ago. No, you should not check up on your boyfriend or girlfriend who cheated on you 6 years ago. If they're gone, they're gone. Leave them be. Your life is better without them. If you found this video helpful and you want to do your part in helping people just like us, make sure you share this video around on social media. Make your voice heard and make sure that at the end of the day, people who need your help get it. If you know someone who needs to hear these words, send this video to them. With that, I'll see you next time. Cheers!